Hey everybody, and welcome to another video from the Electronic Armory. Today we're going to be talking about 3D graphics in business. We're going to talk about demos, walkthroughs, visualizations, and prototyping to improve your offering, educate your clients, and excite your audience. So let's get started. What we're going to cover in this video is what we're capable of doing in 3D, how do we get there, what are the tools that we use, where the industry is going, and how you can get started offering 3D products for your own business. Or if you're interested in starting your own business, how to do that as well. So back when the web was young, we used to use static images to fake 3D. So to spin shoes, which was one of the products that we actually did way back in the day, we used 24 images of the shoe going around. So as the shoe spun around, each image would be a frame in the motion as the shoes spun around. But we also used Flash, which was very browser dependent. And so it was kind of very hard to manage and very limiting. But now everything is interactive. You can see things explode, see inside of things. And so now we have 3D graphics, real graphics, that we don't have to fake. Now this is a image from a 1982 movie using light cycles, and in the bottom picture here was from the sequel of that movie in 2010. You can visualize products before they get to production. So if you have an idea and you want to test it out, see how big it is, see if it fits within certain criteria that you have, you can build it in 3D first. You can show products that are too big for your booth. Maybe you have a big truck that just won't fit inside of a convention center. You can interact with virtual devices, clicking on buttons, the screen will change. And you can show users what it's like to interact with your device. Now this is kind of an old device, but this is one that we did a long time ago. You can provide ideal environments for customers, perfect lighting, leaving nothing up to chance. You can explore in the safety of your underwear in front of your computer at home. You can show parents how toys work, how they unfold, where the batteries go, what kind of fun and abilities that these toys have. You can show how games are played. Some of the games are really complex these days, and using 3D and video, you can show exactly how it's played. You can dramatize reality, but it's almost indistinguishable. So here's a render of some glasses that are done in 3D. This is a technique called PBR, but not the PBR there that you see. It stands for physically based rendering, and this is an example of PBR. This is almost indistinguishable from the real thing. You can match up materials with their realistic, real-world equivalents. So which one of these is real? One is a real photograph and the other is a 3D model. What about this one? One of these is real and one is a 3D rendering. At this point, it doesn't really matter which one is real because they look almost exactly the same. Now here's this technology in practice. On the left, we have photorealistic rendering using the NVIDIA iRay technology. In the middle, we have an interactive version where you can spin the car around. And on the right, we have a real-time, you can kind of think of that as like real-time gameplay. And as you can see, it's almost as real as it can get. So here's where we started. This was the first 3D model that was developed by a couple of guys from a university in Utah. And those guys actually went on to start Pixar, so pretty cool stuff. But here's where we can go. Now, a lot of IKEA's stuff, well, I should say almost all of it that I know of, is now done in 3D. They don't do anything where it's real. They don't take the time to set up the furniture, do the lighting, take some photos, bring in a big crew, and then have to tear it all down. In a matter of weeks, they can set up an image just like this for a lot cheaper than they can do it in real life. And no offense to this artist, this is an amazing piece of work, which is why I'm showing it, but it's kind of boring. It's just, a bedroom. This is a little bit better. I mean, just imagine placing yourself in this environment. Pretty cool. But this is the best. You can transport your users to anything that your imagination can create. So how do we get there? One of the ways is we use Unity 5 for our gaming engine. This will provide graphics that are rendered in real time based on somebody's input. So for example, we can have an environment where a player or person can walk through that environment and interact with their surroundings. This can be for demonstration in terms of training or to show them a particular product and allow the person to interact with it. So with real-time PBR, it doesn't get much more real. So you can transport yourself to far-off places, to a much simpler time. You can fight with history, or be a part of it. Take a tour, and even the filth seems real. Rest assured, there will be dragons. To talk about business, in the year 2025, it is predicted that the enterprise and public sector will be worth $16.1 billion, while the consumer market will be worth $18.9 billion. Now, the consumer market includes such things as video games, live events, video entertainment, that sort of thing. But I think the much more interesting field is the enterprise and public sector. We have things like healthcare, engineering, real estate, retail, military, and education. Now, I'm a big fan of education myself, and the possibilities that virtual reality and 3D offer is limitless. I mean, I can show anybody anything in 3D and show them how it works, explode the view so they can see inside of that object and really understand how that particular thing works. Healthcare is going to be huge. You can show off medical devices, how these things go inside of your body where we can't stick cameras, and how it basically helps the patient. Of course, doctors have a lot of money, and so do engineers. But real estate's going to be interesting as well, where if you're a builder or an architect and you want to see your creation in real life and be able to walk through that in the most real environment, you can do that with virtual reality. You can do it just with regular video if you wanted to. So this is really, really powerful stuff, and you guys need to get into this now because this is going to be huge. So let's talk about 360 immersion real quick. My definition is to surround someone in total sensory engagement, tricking their brain into forgetting they're not really there. So if you think about those previous examples and maybe how you can immerse your user or your client in that environment to show them what you want to have shown. So here's an example. You can play any game as if it was a board game. So this is really cool because you can see what was your screen right in front of you. You can look left, you can look right. No more scrolling with an awkward mouse or keyboard. You can just move your head, or really if you want to get more into the high advanced, more higher priced hardware, you can walk around the room, which is a little bit dangerous. I've done it. It's not safe, but if you have a nice big room to do it, highly recommend it. It's awesome. So this is what maybe somebody might think of virtual reality is. It's just huge headset that you put on, but this is what it really was. This is the Sensorama. It's pretty cool stuff. I'm a big fan of history, so I like looking this stuff up. This is what we grew up with, of course. Maybe some of you remember this, but this is what it is today. So we have the big three here, virtual reality devices. So let's take a look inside. And if you're on a budget, we have the Google Cardboard, which is literally a cardboard box where you strap your phone into it and look at the two different views, one for each eye, looking through a lens. But if you do have a little bit of more money, this one's a lot more comfortable. It's form-fitting to your phone, so it doesn't, there's no possibility that it'll slip out, and highly recommend this one. However, it is a little bit more pricey than the other one. And you can have a seat in the virtual reality environment. You can sit on the edge of it. You can get squeezed into it. And it opens up a whole new world of UI. So this is something that we call gaze-based selection, where you look at a particular icon, after a few seconds will actually select that object or that selection. But with this device, we have forward, up and down, and we also have tap, just like you would on a laptop's touchscreen, so you can interact with this device. And so this is really, really powerful. Or you can actually have controllers in your hand, which operate and control in 360 degrees. And who needs the outdoors when you have virtual reality, right? And then there's this. You might have noticed that I left this off for the previous one from the big three, but this is the Microsoft HoloLens. This is actually an augmented reality, not a virtual reality device. Because you get your reality environment, either your living room, your kitchen, whatever, and you can place 3D or virtual reality devices in that environment. So you can spin this car around. You can pretend that your kitchen is in Maui, getting information right there on your island in your kitchen. Now, if you notice on the far wall there, that's not actually a TV. That is a virtual reality element in this world that's being projected onto that blank wall. So really some cool stuff that goes on here. And I loved just the vacation to-do list on his refrigerator. Again, not real, but it's augmented reality. You can 3D print, but without the printer. So imagine you have a 3D object or model on your desk that you can tilt your head, look around, maybe even spin around, And as you're modeling, as you're building out these prototypes, you can see it right there on your desk. Or you can go to Embed school. So really powerful. As I mentioned, education is going to be huge for this. And having that information right there in front of you, projected in the middle of your room, again, is just amazing. So if you can imagine it, you can accomplish it. Anything that you can think of, you can put into 3D, and then you can put yourself there or somebody else. One of my favorite things to do is create 360-degree YouTube videos. Now, I don't have any on this channel, but maybe I'll just post some to show you what the capabilities are. This is one I made of the moon and the Earth. And so it's a 1-minute video. It flies past the moon, approaches the Earth. You can click and drag and look behind you as you pass the moon. Or if you have it on your mobile device, you can use the accelerometer in the mobile device to look around in your room. And you can put that in front of almost anybody because everybody has a cell phone in their pocket these days. Here's another one that I did of a Mars flyby. And here's the actual Earth that I modeled. Here's another model that I did. This is in what's called WebGL. And so you can actually put this in your browser and have that same effect. Pure 360 degree if you want it, 3D visualization, all the stuff that you're used to in games within your browser, whatever browser you want, as long as it's, within the last couple of years or so, it supports WebGL. So how do we get there? One of my favorite tools is Blender. Really give it a try. We have some videos on the channel that you can watch to get a sense of it. They're not too long. I highly recommend if you're looking into this kind of thing to run through those videos to get a taste of it. And then if you're interested in more, there's lots of resources that I can point you to learn a little bit more about Blender and get really good with it. So let's talk about our 3D pipeline. As I mentioned in one of the previous videos, I do game development for a living as part of my income stream anyway. And I want to talk a little bit about how we create some of these elements and some of these products. Now, we usually start out with some kind of 3D authoring program such as Autodesk Maya, Autodesk 3ds Max, or really my favorite, Blender. And then we take that and we pipe it into either Unreal Engine or Unity, which are really, really powerful 3D gaming engine pieces of software. And they're very, very similar, but take a look at them, see which one you prefer. And then from Unity and Unreal Engine, we can pipe those into Google Cardboard or the other augmented or virtual reality devices. Or we can take it straight out of Blender and spit it out to YouTube, Facebook, or a website called Sketchfab, which we'll talk about here in a second. Now, if you're not a 3D expert or you don't want to take the time to learn all of it, honestly, you can get really, really good with it in about a year. That's what, when I was first starting out, that's what it about took me to really get comfortable and start making almost anything that I can think of. Of course, I ran into hurdles and that sort of thing, but I did all that within a year. And so if you don't want to spend that much time getting into it, I highly recommend you go to turbosquid.com. They have prefab models that you can download and actually use within your video or game or whatever you're creating. And they have some free models and they have some paid for models for the higher quality ones. You can also 3D scan anything using a regular camera. So this is really powerful because you just take a whole bunch of photos of some kind of object, and then they have open source software that's free that you can download that'll stitch all those images together and then render out and give you a 3D model of that object that you're doing, and then you can import it into any of the 3D authoring software pieces that you have there. So you can display 3D on your phone using native support on Android and iOS. This is really, really powerful because even within your own mobile apps, you can have 3D models in there. And so, for example, you can have a 2D game with a 3D character that spins around, or maybe it's just a normal native app where you just want to have 3D objects in there. And so the activity app on iOS is a great example because their badges that they show are actually 3D. You can spin them around by sliding your finger back and forth. Really, really powerful stuff. You can put this in the browser using WebGL, as I mentioned before. You can just create straight up video, think Pixar movies, that sort of thing. Or just do a straight up one image render that you can post on your website or anywhere else you can look at images. So I mentioned Sketchfab. I highly recommend you go to sketchfab.com and really see what 3D is capable inside your web browser. I think you'll be really amazed. It's not just 3D models that you can spin around, but also animations. So here's a little robot that kind of zooms in, and then he moves his arms and he floats up and down, and he has like a little jet that comes out of the bottom that keeps him hovering. And it's really just an amazing piece of work that is it was unthinkable to put that kind of thing in a browser 10 years ago. And if you upload your own models to Sketchfab, you can now embed them within Twitter. And so Twitter has picked up on this, and a lot of other companies are starting to do this now, where you can embed these 3D models in these different areas. And so it's very, very powerful. Get your product in 3D, start showing it off in all the major platforms now. And this stuff is really going to start picking up. So I promise you. And this is where we get to the part where I want you guys to start offering this to your clients or starting your own business to do this kind of stuff. So offer these services to your client now, and you'll be the only ones in town doing it. Of course, that depends on your town. You know, if you're in San Francisco, it's probably a little bit different. But if you're in a small city, this is almost a guarantee that you're the only one doing it, or you will be the only one doing that's doing it professionally. With the prefab work, you only need a little bit of 3D knowledge to go a long way. Remember, you can put this on any device, any platform, including the 360, the Xbox One, the PS4. All that is included in any platform. And so you can get your content anywhere. Now, if you're interested in going into marketing, promotion, advertising, engineering, doing some prototyping, even storytelling, you really need to get into 3D to offer this to your clients. This is just really powerful. Again, if you're doing marketing, you can market products in so many new ways that you can't do with regular video and physical products. You have a high premium on these services. So because no one is doing it, you may be able to charge a higher price. Again, if you're in a larger city where there are people doing it, then that might not be true. But if you are the only one that's doing it in your local city, you can charge higher prices for that. Now, if you're just beginning and you don't have a lot of experience, you may want to go and contact local businesses to get some portfolio work first, maybe smaller ones. And you can approach a business with a short 30-second clip tailored to them that shows the possibilities of what your services can do for them. So in other words, if they're an architect, you can go and show them what a walkthrough might look like for maybe a building that they're building or just some random building. And so they can picture themselves using your service and what that capability affords them. There's going to be a high demand for your skills if you have these skills. So even if a company doesn't know that they need these skills, or they don't know that they need your services, they can, of course, benefit. This is pretty obvious because a lot of companies may have heard of these technologies. Of course, everybody's now probably heard of virtual reality, augmented reality, et cetera, but no one on their staff likely has the time or the expertise to put this together. They're all busy doing their normal jobs. And so this is a really good opportunity for you to come in and supplement or complement their services to maybe even their clients. And so this is, again, really highly in demand. And I see this all throughout the industry. Companies are just happy to pay thousands of dollars for something that they don't have to do themselves. For them, it's like, I have to train this guy, I have to take him off of this current project, I have to get this designer and bring her in and do all these things. But that costs the company a lot of money. Whereas if I can pay somebody thousands of dollars to do that, I'm more than happy to, because I know the work is going to get done. So put yourself in that place. Be where those companies are looking for, because you're going to make a high profit off of this stuff. If you're looking for the next best thing, 3D is it. The mobile train has kind of left the station. I mean, you can catch up with it. I got in on the ground floor. It's been taking off. For the longest time, we were the only people in town doing it. And then for a while, there was a couple little, companies dabbling in it. But really, we're the largest producer in the state. And so it's just only because we got in early. And so now I'm recommending to you guys, 3D is going to be the next thing, where it's just going to be everywhere, and everybody's going to want developers and programmers and everybody to put their efforts toward this thing. Because virtual reality it's not just a fad. It's not just hype. If you've ever put these devices on, you know what I'm talking about. This is just an extension of 3D. So again, just like mobile was, 3D will be ubiquitous. And it's the highest growth and profit area for me personally. I've basically stopped doing a lot of the mobile work that I used to do that made me all the money and moving everything to 3D, including games, virtual reality, trainings, for factory workers that need to be trained on heavy equipment and different interfaces. You can put them in front of that heavy equipment without, having that heavy equipment, which is very costly. So how do you get started? Well, first of all, you have to learn a 3D application. Again, this is not hard. You can do it within a year if you have zero training, but a lot of motivation. And you need to learn a 3D gaming engine if you want to take full advantage of the virtual reality, augmented reality environments. I do recommend, again, go to turbosquid.com, start perusing some of the models that they have on there, download some of the free ones to play around with, open it up in Blender, and just get familiar with how those models are put together. Or you can, of course, use those in your projects, and you don't have to spend the time modeling those things or animating them. They just come all included in the package that you get with TurboSquid for each individual model. Take some renders and show what you're capable of. Take the models that you're playing around with, take screenshots of them, export them to video, post them on your websites and that sort of thing. So you might want to offer your services to family and friends first before committing to doing actual work for a business, because that's kind of a big responsibility when there's money involved. But again, see if your family and friends need anything for their business, maybe even a 3D logo to get started. And again, take on some small work, charging only a few $100s. Don't go too low. Don't just charge $50, but seriously, charge $300 to $400 or $500 for maybe a logo, a 3D logo or something like that. Depending upon, if you're just starting out, maybe $100, but don't go too low because the company is not going to value your time or your expertise that you have in this area. And eventually you'll get better, and so will your prices. But don't take on too much too soon. You might be thinking, yeah, I want to make a lot of money and I want to take on as many projects as I can. But really, you're looking for quality, not quantity, because I think you're going to burn yourself out with quantity, where you're doing 20 different projects and you can't keep up. You're spending, 16 hours a day running your business or running on these projects. And if it's a side business for you, you definitely don't want to be doing that. So start small, build up some confidence and experience, and get that started. And also, of course, make sure that you post all of your work to your website, social media, and join a website like artstation.com where other artists post their work, and they can give you critique and tell you what looks bad on it and how to fix that. So some really good feedback on that website. Highly recommend that one. Of course, join local meetups and meet other artists or programmers, and then you can team up on bigger projects. So that's how I actually met a lot of the people that I work with, is just going to these events and talking to them. Most importantly, don't get impatient. Again, you can burn out, you can take on too much too quickly, and then it just all goes up in flames. So be very, very patient. Take the long view on all of this stuff. If you're going to honestly get into this stuff, your timeline is going to be about a year to 2 years if you're just starting from scratch. If you do have some expertise in this already, then you already have a head start. So your 3D empire. Soon you'll be the only one in town doing web-based 3D, virtual reality, 3D videos, 360-degree 3D videos, walkthroughs, and more. So I hope you liked this video. I hope it kind of gave you a head start and some ideas to think about, and maybe some huge projects that you might be thinking about doing. So if you have any questions or you need advice about starting your own company, running your own company, getting into 3D, some of the tools that we use, of course, I'll be making future videos on this type of topic, but definitely leave them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And this has been another video from the Electronic Armory. We'll see you next time, and thanks.